Great to see Mersa telling us all ago how it all came about from his ERLs right up to now. He still feels confident, and he's going to need that today because Misfits, they're looking okay, but they need to get a little bit better around those edges.
Hey, look, I think they looked fairly well coming in yesterday. They had a good start against Vitality, but we have to see if they're going to be able to continue that one on here against an SK who definitely struggled yesterday.
They definitely did, and this is a big moment. This is the halfway point. This is the moment we hit 9 games. You need to have as much as you can get in the tank before you go into that second round robin because your time is ticking. It's still very early for playoffs, but it's coming. Destiny waits for nobody.
Yeah, and I mean, look, SK, I got to see more out of you, lads. I mean, yesterday against the Stralis of all teams, you really did struggle, and not see exactly what the plan is going to be here coming in. It sounded, at least from the coach interview, that SK had something in their back pocket, but with Misfits already banned away the Caitlyn, we'll have to see exactly how this one's going to go through, with Zeri being banned away by SK as well.
Yeah, we only saw Zeri once yesterday. Gonna be totally honest, didn't really do a lot. I'm gonna be like it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just there. So we'll see how teams end up prioritizing or not prioritizing as the split goes on, with her now being a part of the ensemble, and we can see now just going through those very standard mid lane bans, LeBlanc and the Corki.
Yeah, Gwen being taken off the board as well, and I think that's a nice one, right? SK kind of said, hey, look, for Misfits, they do like having HiRit on towards that Gwen pick because it is a kind of a safe blind pick on that top side, but HiRit won't be able to get his hands on that one this time around. And SK, we'll have to see what their plan is because HiRit's going straight towards that Renekton, and that's what the Gwen ban was for.
That was the Gwen ban. You can see the Renekton, high priority there. Great bruiser in that top side. Gives you so many more options. Not only just in the top side, can go into the mid lane, which we have seen multiple times. And now you're looking for a response here from SK.
Yeah, it feels like your jungle and more than likely an AD carry going to be picked up here as well. Jenax has gone a lot towards the Gragas. I just don't know if this is your best bet here to go for, right? Like, realistically, I think prioritizing a jungler could have been the better option. You take that Gragas pick in the third rotation here and you end up in a pretty good spot, but the Gragas has been locked in as the counter, and it's something Jenax has looked pretty comfortable on.
And it's a curious thing as well when we look at this. We obviously seen the high priority on those scaling AD carries as per usual has it been in the 2022 season, but it isn't being paired or as highly prioritized with its preferred matchup in bot lane. We're seeing supports going lower and lower down that matchup.
One of the big thing here, though, is that there is that Diana-Yasuo combo left open if they want to go for it. Diana does get locked in. It pairs super well with that Renekton on the top side, and there we see that combo locked in. So I do like this for Misfits Gaming, and especially for Neon, right? He's more than comfortable going back towards something like that Jin in the bot side that you can look to play around. So kind of providing that engage tool and setup for this composition that wants to chase you down.
Well, the Akali locked and loaded there. Very slippery champion here for Sertuss in that mid lane. Can still be a flex. We could maybe see Gragas bot and Akali mid. There could be some shenanigans there.
I imagine it's still that chem tank Akali in the mid lane, right? Something that can do reasonably well against the Yasuo. Get a lot of armor coming through and just makes it quite difficult for Yasuo to take you down. And as you said, quite mobile, so it is going to be an issue. I want to see SK, though, banning away these big engage supports or get rid of that Jin, because Jin fits into this combo super well and also fits kind of going into the lane against the Jinx because you can push in super well and can give it a lot of room for Mersa if he wants to try and roam around the map, or honestly for Shlatan to kind of have another lane to play around. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the call. The Rakan taken off the board, the Alistair on the other side, but I mean, realistically, I think if I'm looking towards champions here for Treatz, something like a Jinx could be excellent in trying to deny, something like the Thresh could be great in trying to deny access to the Diana, the Yasuo into these fights. Yeah,
and again, the thing that we see, why we see Thresh picked in with Jinx and why I mentioned it earlier is that Thresh kind of covers all of Jinx's weak spots, has a bit of mobility, escape, also a bit of kiting, lots of stuff that you can be able to use. The Nautilus banned away there by SK, exactly what you wanted to see. You just don't want to give them more synergy.
Yeah, I think though, like, we are coming across from the LPL, right? Thresh has been a way higher priority. Yeah, no way. Over there rather than here. So, and we've kind of seen, even with the Jinx, teams don't really prioritize as much of that kind of lane focus and keeping her safe. They're perfectly happy to go towards things like the Leona, these kind of things that can still provide that a big engage tool. Especially when I'm looking across at SK, right? That seems to be the big thing they're missing. Gragas is more of a counter engage, so trying to take something like the Leona that they just locked in can help solidify that strong team fight.
Well, the Leona does end up going in, and that is going to be able to push forward, like you mentioned, with that Akali, with that Gragas, to just bring everything together. You will have a little bit of kiting power there, but Curious to see now what the final pick will be here for the side of SK as we now move over to the other side. And you're just going to be picking your bot lane here. So Aphelios, they could take the Thresh themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Aphelios Thresh combo, right? You keep him safe. It's kind of been a bog standard one that we've seen for quite a while, and something that allows you to play aggressive on lane as alongside being defensive, especially against something like Leona. The Flay is just so good at keeping those Zenith hooks at bay.
Yeah, it really is just great for the laning phase, great for the Aphelios in general. And Aphelios, despite being that 200 years champion we love to talk about, he does have to be quite close in terms of the guns he's using and to get the most effectiveness out of them.
And that's the big thing about Misfits comp in general, right? They are super short range, so they need to make sure that they are finding these good flanks so they can close the gap onto SK, because right now, SK, right, they've got a really strong 1-4 with the Akali, they've got good engage, they've got long range that they can look for poke, and and we're just going to round that out with Gilius going towards the Volibear. So another kind of safe tank on the front line to provide that space for the Jinx, which is pretty much all that this SK composition's built around.
Well, God Gilius getting himself a demigod in the Volibear as well. And see if he's able to make some work for it. Very beefy front line, very much, a front-to-back team fight I'm looking at from the side of SK Gaming. And like you said, for Misfits, it's jump on your face and stay on your face.
Yeah, I think the big one for SK, though, at least they've have some early level control here, right? Diana wants to hit that level 6 before she really starts impacting the lanes. Well, that's where Volibear can shine. Really strong early duelist. So I want to see now if Gilius is going to start playing towards Sertuss, if we see him setting up Jezu on the spot side around Treatz as well, because that seems to be the best place to try and get this early ball rolling for SK.
Well, we'll wait and see as we're going. Everything has been locked and loaded. Looking at these two teams, like you said, you got that big wombo combo, you've got the front-to-back team fight. Who are you favoring right now, and where do you want to see them work towards?
I mean, I think Misfits composition is just a great all-rounder, right? Even though you have a lot of short range, it's only really the Jinx on the opposite side you got to worry about. And when I'm looking across at SK, it's not exactly like the early game has been the strongest, and you definitely feel like you kind of want to get rolling at this early point, because you've got a Yasuo and a Aphelios, Diana, everything else there. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be very, very tough, and we're going to see how they do it on the Rift. And here we are. Misfits coming off of a pretty not serious loss. That makes it sound as if, it was the worst thing in the world. But definitely something that they wouldn't want to continue on in terms of a trend. And SK, honestly, as we saw with the interview with Swiffer, counting their lucky stars, they were able to get a win yesterday at all.
I will say, though, for Misfits, right, they came out of that game in the early stages swinging. I thought they actually looked fantastic, and we saw that big fight in the mid lane that kind of cost them, where instead of actually trading the objective, they end up trying to take the fight against Vitality, and it all fell apart at that stage. This composition, though, isn't about trying to play through side lanes. This is much more of a team fighting style. So if we can actually try and play through that, I think Misfits are going to be in a much better position to continue to just, power through the strong fight that they have against SK.
For SK, it's got to start now. You got to use yesterday's win as momentum. Again, going back to that interview with Swiffer, he did mention the tenacity, the drive, the commitment from the players to not give up, to not just get their heads down and to keep pushing forward and find that opportunity. But similar to how they said on the desk, you don't want to be relying on that miracle play every single game.
And it feels like we're going to be relying on Gilius to have that, right? You got the Volibear here, you're running the press, the attack, you can do a lot of damage early, and already we're talking about Shlatan. He's going to be taking a bit slow. He wants to hit that level 6, so I'm keeping my eyes on Gilius pathing from this top side down to the bot lane. It looks like he wants to try and set up with Treatz to get that going into Jezu. Maybe look for plays around Sertuss, because you're either looking at a 1-4 with Sertuss being your prime example on that side about how you can deal that damage, or you're looking at Jezu, who's going to be trying to be the big carry for this team.
This is something that's been a bit conscientious. So if you look at Jezu's stats throughout the season, this isn't a guy who, personally speaking, I would have a lot of confidence in. He has the lowest damage percentage of any AD carry in the league. He hasn't really been someone that has, in my opinion, stepped up to show that he can be that carry.
And especially when you're looking at his counterpoint here, right? Neon, this guy has been popping off in the last 3 games. Goal difference at 14 has been 839. His CSD at 14 has been 11.3. This guy has been an absolute monster in this bot lane. You can see already getting a nice push here on this bot side as well, which is going to buy a little bit of space here for Shlatan, because if Gilius tries to go for any sort of invade, should have his bot lane able to help him out.
Wait and see. Good push coming out here from the Aphelios Thresh. To be expected, Aphelios does have the extra 2 guns, or an extra gun on top of the 2, so he's able to just kind of keep going, keep rotating, keep putting pressure down. Gets the push in. It is lane dominance. We see both junglers are going to find each other. In the bot side, Xenoblade lands as Mersa slowed by the Glacial Augment as Treatz still pushing forward, but everyone backs themselves away. Just a trade of health bars.
Yeah, and just buy time for Shlatan, right? Picks up that scuttle, could even move back towards the top side if he wants to try and get 2. But it looks like it is just going to be Gilius who's able to make his way back up top. But that early game kind of play by Gilius, a little bit too early from Treatz, and it means that Misfits can just back away.
This is the safety you get, as we've talked about many, many times. Thresh just puts out the lantern, even if you do push a little bit too far forward, it goes to you. But a little thing I'm going to stop myself. I was going to start talking about the top lane, but Gilius coming down here. He is going to be spotted on a ward, but do they just fully commit? Yes, they do, as Treatz just completely whips the Xenoblade, but they go in, they get the cleanse out of Neon. He was just a little bit too early, though. Exhaust has come down, and that's going to force Mersa to flash, but a 2-man stun coming out from the Aphelios means that they can back away. I like the idea from SK, just missed a little bit on the execution. Yeah,
execution a little bit awry, and I mean, Shlatan goes in, but you don't have the damage to try and go up against the 3 members of SK, especially when Mersa and Neon are low. But you can actually see in the top side, HiRit wandered down to grab that Scuttle Crab, which giving him a nice little bit of a boon up in this top side of the map against Jenax. So at least these early plays not going the way of Gilius is still going to give Shlatan that time to get to 6 and have his own impact in the lanes.
Well, bot lane not without its trials and tribulations, and something that you mentioned there, HiRit able to kind of cheat down, get himself that little boon. It is just going to be that way. Renekton not really going to have a lot of kill pressure on the Jenax on a 1v1. That's kind of why you pick the Gragas. He's just an absorbing man who can just heal through his passive, gets himself the W, as we can see there, which gives him extra resistances, and he's just going to be fine, just happy out, surviving.
Yeah, it just sucks for Renekton in this matchup. You try to go in, you get body slammed, he ends up throwing down a Q to slow you, and then you can't actually get any of your damage off.
And then he regens.
Yeah, and you're just out. So you can even see with the tier start here as well, he's going to be perfectly fine, at least for the moment, to sit around a while and get the waves that he wants. Will reset now, be able to work himself up towards that Fimbulwinter at some stage, but just the fact that Fimbulwinter has been introduced is why Gragas is kind of coming back is so strong on that top side as a tank. You don't have to worry about any mana issues now that there is a tank mana item for you.
About damn time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Excuse my language. just something that I've always been very annoyed about. It's just like, it's kind of like Zhonya's or QSS, you know? It's like for so long, QSS is still, in my opinion, only used for like AD carries.
So actually interesting, Sertuss isn't going towards the chem tank build. So we did see those nerfs come in this patch. We've still seen it be very good, and a lot of players are still using it, but Sertuss is actually just going to go for that full AP build. So looking to see if he can dish out a ton of damage, but definitely won't be as tanky as we've seen on Akali's in the last few games.
Well, actually, Jenax putting in a lot of damage there onto HiRit. He will be able to sustain himself out with that empowered Q. Still keep himself nice and healthy. Shouldn't, I put a very big asterisk on that, be dying 1v1 into the Gragas lane. But we have seen stranger things, and specifically on the Gragas pick, you think of Gragas in LEC in 2022, and it has been Wonder who was the Wonder kid. And honestly, this is getting a little bit close right now for HiRit. He knows he's dangerously close. He pops the Dominus and keeps himself alive, but this is risky.
I mean, it may not be over. Flash for Jenax.
Yeah, he's thinking about it, but he's thought about it and didn't think it was worth it. You're not worth the time.
No idea where Shlatan was as well, so wasn't sure if it was going to be a flash trade and suddenly the jungler's there, but Gilly is trying to make the play boss.
Gonna go for it as I take a gulp of water, and they're gonna try and just push into it. There is no flash available for Mersa. He's got himself a hook though, so first blood goes over, and important for Misfits, they get a kill back onto Neon.
And the kill went to Treatz. It didn't go to either Gilius or towards Jezu. They would have loved for the Jinx to be able to pick up that goal, but Neon gets the kill for himself. He managed to get all this wave as well. So the grand scheme of things, Misfits kind of coming out on top in that play, and we see it here, right? Why Thresh is so strong into Leona. Mersa gets the reactions for the Zenith Blade. The Glacial Augment means it's really hard for Treatz to catch up, and great hook just before he falls. That death sentence bringing life back to Misfits in this bot lane.
You see just the range of the Leona Shield of Daybreak. He's almost there. He's almost about to boop you with it. But as you mentioned, getting slowed by the Glacial Augment means he's not able to make it and does have to trade 1 for 1.
We're about to hit the danger zone, though, Oisin. You're now going to have 6 literally just hitting out for Shlatan. 20 seconds until this Rift Herald starts up, and you can already see Mersa helping Vetheo get control. In this mid lane, as Treatz is trying to do the same, but you now have access to that devastating combo between Diana and Yasuo, and I wouldn't be surprised if Misfits are trying to eye up this top side objective to see if they can get this used. Always the option as well, if they really want to kind of like forego that and maybe look for a dive onto Jezu by himself in the bot lane, but we'll have to see.
We will. Sertuss feeling the pressure there as Vetheo just runs himself around. I did learn how to pronounce his name now off of yesterday. Apologies to anybody if I was, you know, annoying you, but it happens when you have to look at, you know,
okay.
Several.
You annoying
me. Wow, you can do me dirty like that. Just gonna throw me under the bus. I have like over 100 players to learn over 2 different leagues, but speaking of players, we're gonna see Treatz just kind of stops and doesn't really go anywhere there as Neon going to try and just kite this one out. Has got himself the Moonlight Vigil should he need it, but Mersa still not really out of this one yet. They're going to get the resets on the Jezu as one goes down, but Shlatan goes back in. It's a trade of a jungler! But true, the ace in the hole. Jezu finds a double kill.
Somehow he manages to get that past Shlatan, and means that you're able to pick up the double kill now, and with that SK, they can look for the reset. They're going to have a good amount of going on to Jezu, and they can always look to try and move that up towards this top side. But we're going to have a repeat here, and Treatz has his flash up and available. Gilius tries to go for the reset there, but on the reset, he has to not able to make it. And now, from this point forward again, Gilius, we said we wanted to see him have action in this early stages. He's been sitting in this bot lane. He knows that Jezu is going to be the main damage dealer for the squad, and unfortunately Shlatan not willing to flash to block that ult at the end.
It's exactly as you mentioned in the early game. This is where SK's damage lies. This is where their win condition sits. I will say, I think Treatz didn't realize he had his flash. He thought he had Hex Flash. That's why he just stood in the bush there for half a second and went, oh, cool, I can do this. I can just go ahead and use this. But good trade there for the side of SK. They get 2 kills for 1. Importantly as well, they got 2 kills onto the Jinx. Thank you very much, observers. And there's a little bit of a lead in that bot side. It is, however, being answered in the jungle and pretty much even Stevens across every other lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see that nobody's going for the Rift Herald, especially Misfits. They've been really good at securing these early Rift Heralds. I'm pretty sure they're first in the league at the moment with like 68% of the Rift Heralds, and I think it's G2 in second. So the fact that these guys have kind of been foregoing that when it's been such a staple plan for them is kind of nuts so far.
Little bit of a curious one as we wait to see how everyone kind of settles down. A lot of summoners have been blown. And we'll say Neon still has his flash and cleanse, so Mersa now has his flash back, and now they've heard you and they're going to go straight towards that one.
But Gilius is bot again. Yeah. Gilius just wants to focus on this bot lane. Will be spotted as Neon will start to move away. Mersa going to take the long route back towards his home in the bot side.
This is where he lives now. Gilius is he's going to have the lantern to keep him safe. Neon gets himself out of trouble, but it does mean you have pressure here, so SK answering for the Rift Herald, which hasn't even been taken yet, so you are getting a trade across the map.
And here's the thing, right? Like, SK, I agree with what they're doing here, even moving Sertuss down, you're getting the gold onto Jezu, and this is fantastic for them. As we said, Jezu going to be the big carry. I want to see, though, how Misfits are going to answer.
Moonlight Vigil has got the Gravitum gun, is going to force the cleanse out of Jezu. Jezu recognizing he would have been caught by the hook, needed to get himself a bit further away.
Yeah, I want to see Shlatan, though, if he's going to start, like, kind of foregoing bot side, right? Kind of go, look, we're not going to try and match toe for toe. You're stronger here in the 3v3. I'm going to use this mid instead and play through our strong mid jungle. Neon spotting out Gilius once more, being the bane of his existence, but he will just back away this time.
We'll back away, and now we can see where the real pressure comes from. This could be a dragon here for the side of SK with the amount of time and pressure they've put in, but they found Mersa. Mersa does not have flash, he has nowhere to go, and they're going to be able to give that one over to the Jinx. Shlatan, though, now in a lot of trouble as Sertuss has roamed all the way down. He thought about going over the wall, but he said he'd keep his flash. They got themselves a summoners, and they got themselves a kill.
Yeah, Mersa did not need to be that far up at all. Gets caught out, and now SK can start up on these dragons. Vetheo might be next in line. Just managed to hit Sertuss.
He gets him and goes straight in there with the ultimate as well. Gilius is here. He's going to jump down on top of him as well, but there's nowhere really for you to go. That was just so over-aggressive from Vetheo.
I mean, for a team, though, that we... Oh, hang on, Neon.
Neon, he's going to use the cleanse, has flash available to himself. He's been slowed, and he flashes away. That's both summoners again, this bot side. Misfits, what's happening?
Can we confirm that these nameplates are the right way around?
Yeah, I'll get on production.
Thank you, because honestly, SK, this is so well played. Gilius understanding exactly where he needs to be on the map, getting Jezu this big lead, including the turret plates. Wouldn't be surprised if he's already finished his mythic off this reset. We're seeing great roams coming down from the mid lane as well, with Sertuss being in position. Mersa way overextending on this play. it's an easy setup for SK, and I mean, SK have had control of this bot side river the entire game thanks to Gilius, so the fact that Mersa didn't expect himself to be walking over wards when he went in there is kind of bizarre to me.
I mean, yeah, yes, you go on a Sertuss, you knock him up, you're kind of delaying him, but you know that everyone's on bot side there. Yeah. There's no real reason for you to try and go for that 1v1, because even in a 1v1, I don't even know if you win that 100%.
Yeah, and you're not going to burst out in Akali, right? With Vetheo going in, you assume, even in the best case scenario, that Gilius is on Dragon. So Gilius just runs up while you're there, like, you're not going to get anything out of that. So, I don't know, Misfits haven't really been playing with their head screwed on properly, and it's costing them a lot, but even though we say that, right, it's only a 1,500 gold lead. It's not a crazy big one, but you can see it there on the bottom side. 1,000 of that is between the two AD carries, and this is where we got to see Jezu step up. He hasn't having the greatest of times. This is his moment to prove otherwise.
And this is the big thing. You're putting a massive amount of priority on this Renekton. It's been null and void. It's been muted. It hasn't done anything because the Gragas is just saying, cool, you stay here. You're never going to kill me, and I don't need to be with my team right now. Your early game advantage is slowly falling away.
And sometimes when I see Jenax take this Gragas pick, I'm not the biggest fan, right? I've seen him take it into these like super long-range compositions that deny SK any sort of engage, but Jenax actually, maybe?
Yeah, maybe going for it, but they're going to move back straight into mid as they go straight in underneath the tower. They find Sertuss, and he gets caught out by the igniting. He ends up getting taken down. So with the Rift Herald to mid, they get it. HiRit still going 1v1 and still not really coming out on top of this one here, but it is still a positive move here from Misfits.
Much better for Misfits. We just said, hey, look, the 3v3 in the bot side, you're not going to win if you're a Misfits side. So instead, play through Vetheo. Use that other big late game carry that you have and one of those core parts of your team fight combo that you can work through with Vetheo. So get the kill, get the tower, and now this Yasuo is in a far better position, and it's now something that they can try to work through.
Again, good response here. You had the rocket belt, no longer in development. It's no longer a proto belt. Fully upgraded and set up. But let's have a look at how it really went down, because this is just, again, smart from the side of Misfits. They wait until Sertuss walks too far forward. They know they have him locked under the tower, and they can go straight in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just so much damage. There's nothing you can do. That combo is absolutely obnoxious, and every single time it's going to be able to catch you. Now, SK trying to see if they can answer with either the turret on the bot side or maybe the kills on Neon. Don't forget that ult from Volibear will turn off the tower and set up Treatz nicely, which is why Mersa is playing just safety with the Lantern.
I mean, this has been one of the best early games we have seen from SK this split. Now, I've just checked with stats. Their best early game start was minus 600 gold. That's how they are the worst team at 15. They're minus 2,200 up until this game. This is the best time we have seen from SK in the first 14 minutes of the game throughout the whole split, and that's exactly what to be seeing, exactly what Swiffer said he wanted to see from his players.
Yeah, but the thing is though, right, like, they're still pretty even, right? And a lot of that gold, although is on Jezu, when you look at Vetheo, when you look at Shlatan, that's where the gold differences are coming through for Misfits. That's what's keeping this interesting here on the Misfits side. And again, this is something that Misfits can 100% look to play through, because honestly, if you come into an SK fight, right, if you pick off Jezu, where's your damage? Like, Sertuss is great at picking off one member as Akali, but he's not going to be able to carry an entire fight, well, in theory, against what Misfits have. So Jezu really needs to keep himself in check, and that's why I want to come back to the point I was making earlier on about this Gragas pick, right? Gragas is great at disengaging for you, keeping people at bay, and I love this pick for Jenax here. Not only is it a great counter to the Renekton, it'll keep Jezu safe in these late game fights, alongside Gilius providing CC, Treatz being able to provide both engage and just that crowd control to try and keep Jezu safe.
And that's the big thing. You mentioned how Jezu is the key carry, but on the other side of Misfits, they have so many that you can't just deal with one threat. You knock away the Diana-Yasuo combination, you still have an Aphelios to deal with. You don't find out that the Renekton's flanking you, you might be screwed. And speaking of might be screwed, it looks like we're going to have a full fight in this top side. No, never mind. They back away.
Managed to get the Lantern, but I do agree. I think the only thing is that if like Misfits manage to get control of side lanes, it becomes very difficult for SK to match like some sort of 1-3-1. I mean, ideally, Vetheo doesn't really want to be there because of the ignite, but we'll have to see now if that is the way it goes, especially as Rift Herald started up here. Vetheo and HiRit on the way.
Sertuss is going the long way around this. Does not want to be 1v5 right now. Does look like Misfits are going to be able to secure this one. Will the fight come out? There's a great solar flare as Treatz tries to go in. They even get the Super Mega Death Rocket out. But Gilius goes in. They did not get the steal. Jenax trying to go back on top of this. Sertuss goes in with the shuriken flip. They get the exhaust down, but a 2 kills going straight over to Vetheo as they try and make this one work. Will he get a third? Yes, he will. It's a triple kill, and he's hunting. He knows it can happen. They want to try and maybe give it to him. They are going to try and keep pushing in for the ace. Vetheo still on his triple kill. I don't know if he's going to get a penta though, as the rest of SK have scattered to the winds, but it's going to be a 100% one fight for Misfits at the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Gilius is trying to hide, but there's nowhere to go. Jezu, not even the hook, line, and the kill. 4 kills for Vetheo on the engage, and that is just such a, like, I want to give SK hope. I want to so badly. But every time, it's like they see the crack in the door and it just gets slammed on their nose.
Yeah, it does feel like every time you want to give praise to your child and then he just comes out with an F, so, you know, fights the kid at school.
I mean, look here, right? Jenax is nowhere near this fight. Great front to back setup and a wonderful disengage coming through from Mersa on the engage from Treatz, and even though Jenax is here, the cast doesn't really set it up, and then you're already too far gone as SK. And don't forget, right, like, although Jezu is big, he's still a Jinx. He still wants to get to 2.5, 3 items before he really tries to carry, whereas you already have so much damage coming through from Vetheo, Shlatan, and even Neon will be pumping out more damage than Jezu at this point.
He goes back and finishes off his Infinity Edge, so there is going to be an even bigger Yasuo coming into these next few fights. And again, SK doing so great first, start to the game, great first 14 minutes, but it just feels disjointed. It feels not together, and that's the biggest issue we have with this team. It's why we don't really have such incredibly high hopes for them, because it just feels like the basics are just not really picking up on them.
Yeah, whereas when you look across the Misfits, right, they're playing fantastically. Playing towards the strengths of their composition. Look at the vision control that they have in this spot side jungle as well of SK. They're pushing Jenax off of the bot wave. You still have that Rift Herald there.
Oh, they're going to go straight in as they know that Neon's in a little bit of trouble. They've got Jenax trying to get him with the cast, but he's got a cleanse and he's got a Gale Force, so he's going to be just fine, and it's looking like desperation right now from SK.
Mersa's a hero on this Thresh. Like, honestly, I know that supports don't get enough praise, so I just want to take a second to go, Mersa, like, the play that you had in the last fight, your target selection that fight there, being able to, one, stop the engage coming through on one side with the play, and you get the hook onto the follow-up engage from Gilius, that was one of the main reasons that fight even went close to even for Misfits.
It's almost like Thresh is a high priority support or something.
Who would have thunk it?
Prioritized by the best league in the world. I don't know, man. I had to get my dig in.
We have been doing so well with people be like, you know what? You guys sound like you've been at least LEC for Yonks, and now you're just instantly dividing us.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time, okay? And I'm probably not going to be brought back.
You're not coming back.
No, I'm not coming back, because I'm not an apologist, all right? EDG World Champions. Next. Got my dig in.
I was wondering if HiRit was kind of looking at Treatz and Gilius there as the next on the menu, but they are going to back away. But either way, right? Let's take a quick stop, because we're 20 minutes into this game. We got 5k gold lead coming through for Misfits. A lot of that situated on towards this Yasuo, who's going towards that Wit's End, which I think is a great addition, because as you can see, the only person that you're really worried about right now, maybe if you're a Vetheo on a side lane, is going to be Sertuss. You're up against Jenax, so Vetheo going to have that option to try and play through like the side lane a little bit while staying reasonably clumped up with his team. And I think this is just nice of Misfits going, hey, look, team fights we win, sideline, let's do it.
Gilius, you're by yourself, buddy. You can't do that. And that's just mean, look at the vision control. You can't walk into this. You're blind going into this. That's going to be a free Baron for Misfits.
There's only so much scolding you can give. You know?
Like a disappointed dad. You're literally like a disappointed dad. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. But good solo fighter started off. This could be decent, but they got to try and fill up this fight with damage. They've got 1 kill down. That's on the Aphelios. Jezu trying to run away, but he's just being jumped on. The face melters that we talked about, and it's going to be 3 more kills. Make it 4 for Vetheo.
I mean, Vetheo is on fire this game. You can shut down Neon, but you cannot quell the flame that this Yasuo has. And right now, Baron on the cards for Misfits. It has just been non-stop from this mid-jungle duo. and SK are feeling the brunt of it.
They will see Misfits with the Red Bull Baron power play as we look at how they ended up making it happen, because this looked like it could have been good for SK, but they're just too far behind.
And that's it, right? Like, Jezu does a really good job here at the start of getting that damage off. He's in a great position, especially when everyone's in the pit. Jezu, in theory, should be able to free fire, but only getting one auto onto Neon there. Then as well, like, has to stopwatch instantly. Whereas Vetheo, he's just been tearing people apart. This Yasuo is so damn fed. And now, with the Baron gone, Misfits can look to keep this push going. And honestly, you don't have the best of wave clear for SK. If you've got to try and spread your team thin to deal with multiple lanes with Baroned up creeps, it's just not going to be a good time.
It really, really isn't. Now, Misfits coming in with a 9,000 gold lead, maybe a little bit underneath it, but definitely not a good position here for the side of SK. They need a miracle. That's just straight up. And they don't happen very often in anywhere in the world. And you got to hope that you go for something. Gilius recognizes that his super secret mission has been thwarted and needs to get himself back out to safety. But I just don't know how you go into the team, because you need to go into them to get your front-to-back team fight. But that's exactly what Misfits want.
Yeah. I love these type of compositions from Misfits, though. Like, a lot of the times, like we kind of saw yesterday, right? We end up in the pseudo 1-3-1 comp that wants to start looking for picks in the enemy jungle, and it's kind of difficult to operate around that. But when we get into these straight-up team fights, Misfits just look good. They look so clean, and the combination that we're seeing between Shlatan and Vetheo is on point. Neon, although getting kind of butchered in that last fight, has been really good in general with his positioning. And when you've got this strong front line, why not just use him more often?
I will say, for SK, you're very much silver lining on a very dark cloud. As I stop myself here, Gilius might be in a lot of trouble. Yep, he's going to have to use his ult over the wall. I was going to say is that it's a very short-range comp from Misfits. They have to get very close to these turrets. They can't really siege that well, and you still have a Jinx and a Gragas, so you should, in theory, be able to defend relatively okay.
Yeah, it's the Baron that's causing the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like, once you got a cannon creep there, you just don't have the wave clear, and Misfits, honestly, can just look to dive you at how far ahead they are. So even though it's all nice and dandy, it's the Baron that's causing issues. And you can see here, right, Misfits already taken down that mid inhibitor. They've got a top wave here that they can look to go and sync up with. And what do you do as SK? You're kind of looking, holding your hands, going, maybe this Baron play will end soon.
It will. 30 more seconds, if you want an exact time on it.
Thanks.
No problem, man. I'm always here for you. I'm always there to make sure to pick you up. You know, that's what the play-by-plays do. We make you guys look great. Without us,
we nothing.
I was actually going to turn around and say it'd probably still be a great broadcast, but but again, look, SK, you're basically waiting for a miracle, and you're also just basically waiting where gold doesn't make a difference. You need to get Jinx effectively up to 3 items, and then maybe you do have an opportunity.
And here's the thing, right? You're looking at the next dragon coming up. Not really a big issue for SK, right? You can give that up, try and get some semblance control back on the map. But eventually what's going to end up happening is you've got this late game Aphelios who's going to be in a great spot. You've already got this Yasuo with 3.5 items that is already tearing you asunder. So even if you manage to turtle in your base for ages, you've still got a Mountain Soul that's going to be coming up. You've still got so many different issues that are going to be cropping up in the not so near future. And Misfits don't even have to wait for that point, right? They've already got this mid inhibitor. They've got control in the bot lane, and honestly, it's a dark day for SK, because I really don't see themselves being able to come back into this game.
It's a very, very dark day, and again, we go back to the expectations coming into this game. We did expect Misfits to be the better of these two teams, but there was hope for SK. They had a great start. They had a game plan for the first 14 minutes. They tried to make it work, and then just as the middle of the mid-game comes in, they just start to fall apart a little bit. So looking at it on the other side, though, Misfits going to be very happy with how they've played this game. Vetheo has been fantastic, and back to what the analyst were saying, you know, Misfits wouldn't be anything with Vetheo. Well, maybe not, maybe they are. It doesn't matter how you look at that. They are still a lot more with him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting for me, though, because when I look at SK, right, like Sertuss coming in from EU Masters, phenomenal Rise player. Like, really good at utilizing side lanes and being able to get these roams off in the early stages. We saw him a little bit work with Gilius in this game, but it feels like that's a great spot that you could look to use. But honestly, they've banned more times Rise than they've actually even looked at him. So I think for SK, right, it's still them trying to figure out an identity of how they want to play. This is another different style, right, with Sertuss at least kind of going for a 1-4. Jezu, who we've said has been a little bit lackluster, trying to see if he could be a carry here. Unfortunately, just hasn't really worked out with the way Misfits have come at them. But at least SK, like, you can see they're trying different things and trying to see if they can figure out something that can work for them when they're still 2-6.
And, well, the short range of the comp from Misfits is hindering him on top side, but definitely not in bot. As HiRit's just free hitting here. Shlatan playing Protector as Sertuss will go back, get himself regen on the health. And now you got to figure out what you want to do here. SK gonna flash in straight away. They're gonna TP onto Shlatan. This is it. This is your Hail Mary as they try and go for it. Jezu has to run away from the fight because he's so afraid, but he still gets the kill. But despite that, Vetheo comes in and goes, I can do two better. 2 kills to the Yasuo as they keep pushing forward. Jezu just doesn't have the same amount of damage, and Vetheo is feeling himself. He knows that this is a moment here for him as they back themselves up into 4v3. SK, do it now or never do it. You gotta try and push for it. They are gonna get Mersa, and that's another kill for Jinx. It's Jinx versus Yasuo as Neon nearly kills off Sertuss, but the Yasuo comes out on top. Vetheo with 3 kills in this extended fight. Probably gonna make it 4, and this is going to be as easy. Oh, HiRit. That's not on. I mean, it's fine, but that's not on.
Yeah, how dare you HiRit take 1 kill for yourself when the 11-kill Yasuo
I have played with enough Yasuos. 1 kill for yourself. How dare you? That should have been 0-0-11. You could have died a hero.
Share the love, man. That's all I'm here for. But Misfits.
Sounds like a support.
How dare you? SK, though, trying for the Hail Mary, right? Shlatan does get caught out, but he knows at this stage he's so far ahead. Great ult there, even with the exhaust coming in. Still, the damage and the CC is enough to just set up then for the rest of Misfits to come through. And it is a Hail Mary, right? It's the desperation play to see what you can do. It's just not enough.
Vetheo, that win wall was so good. It just took Jezu completely out of the fight. Thank you, observers, for highlighting that because I didn't even see it. Very hard when we're zoomed out to see that little bit of pixelation, but this was so close. SK just on a massive base defense, but their base, what is their base? Their base isn't even their base anymore. It's part of the rift. They have no real inhibitors left, and this was just HiRit could have went 0-0-11. All I'm saying, he could have went 0-0-11, and it would have been known as the best, the assist of the week. But no.
I feel like your bar of success here is a little skewed.
What are you talking about?
But look, Misfits now putting themselves into play here. Gilius, one more attempt.
Yeah, they're going to try and go for it, but Gilius has to jump straight back out. Sertuss trying to see if he can do something, but too far gone, nothing else to do. They'll even give a kill over to Mersa. Get him on the board with the Thresh, and they're going to keep going now, keep pushing into these turrets. Even Treatz is just being taunted by Neon right now. Neon doesn't even want the kill. He's too much for him as they're going to eventually take him out. I will say Vetheo does die trying to get onto the fountain to kill off the Jinx, but at the end of it all, it is Misfits padding their stats. It is Misfits ending the first round robin with a positive win ratio, and it is Misfits doing it in absolutely fantastic style.
Nice way to bring out the words that make them fit. But yes, I do agree. Coming in, I think SK, unfortunately for them, 2-7 after the first round robin, not looking too hot. But for Misfits, a team that obviously a lot of people are going, hey, look, this is a playoffs contender. We want to see what they're capable of. This was a statement game, especially for Vetheo. That Yasuo was clean.
It really, really was. It reminded me of Ireland versus Wales. That's how dominant it was.
Yeah, that big scoreline.
Big scoreline. Really, really well played there by Misfits. They're the Ireland here, in case you were wondering here. But if you want to know who you think, we want to know who you think was the key player of the game at LEC on Twitter. Shlatan, Vetheo, or Neon. See, if you had taken 0-0-11 on the Renekton, you'd be on that board. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm harping on this. I do not know why I'm harping on about this. But anyway, coming up, we'll hear from Misfits Mersa after finishing the first half of the season with an important win over SK.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, Movement that inspires.
A lion!
Oh yes, the king of the jungle. Time for a quick Red Bull?
Red Bull? But you still won't be quicker than the lion!
I don't have to be quicker than the lion, just quicker than you.
Red Bull gives you wings.